very warm welcome to Midday Prime. Over the next 1 hour, we'll bring you all the stories and updates from India and the world. We will update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports, and we'll get you some interesting stories that are making headlines. But first up, the big news at this hour. In another shot in the arm for ISRO, Chandrayaan-2 enters lunar orbit in a crucial maneuver that lasted 30 minutes. The lander, to separate from the orbiter on the 2nd of September, will soft land near the lunar south pole on the 7th of September. Situation fast returning to normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir. Landline services fully restored in many areas. Administration warns people to be wary of rumours. Relief and rescue operations underway on a war footing as floods wreak havoc in most states of North India. 35 lives lost in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Flood-like situation in many parts of Punjab and Haryana. Flood alert continues for Delhi NCR. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa expands his cabinet. Governor Vaju bhai Vala administers oath to 17 new ministers. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu pays respects at the Freedom Monument in Riga to meet Prime Minister of Latvia, Krišjānis Kariņš today. Vice President will hold delegation-level talks and will also address India-Latvia Business Forum meeting. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in Bangladesh on a crucial two-day visit pays respects to Father of the Nation of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, holds talks on bilateral issues of mutual importance with his Bangladeshi counterpart. Our top focus this afternoon: in a major milestone for India's moon mission, the Chandrayaan-2 spacecraft successfully entered the lunar orbit this morning. The duration of the maneuver was 1,738 seconds, beginning from 2 minutes past 9 this morning. ISRO tweeted saying the duration of the maneuver was 1,738 seconds. With this, Chandrayaan-2 was successfully inserted into the lunar orbit. Following this, a series of orbit maneuvers will be performed on Chandrayaan-2 spacecraft to enable it to enter its final orbit, passing over the lunar poles at a distance of about 100 kilometers from the moon's surface. Subsequently, the lander will separate from the orbiter and will enter into a 100-kilometer into 30-kilometer orbit around the moon. Then it will perform a series of complex braking maneuvers to soft land in the south polar region of the moon on the 7th of September. Chandrayaan-2, launched on 22nd July by GSLV Mark III M1 vehicle, had entered the lunar transfer trajectory on the 14th of August. ISRO chairman today briefed the media on the lunar orbit insertion of Chandrayaan-2. K. Sivan said that Chandrayaan-2 mission crossed a major milestone today as Chandrayaan-2 entered the lunar orbit at 9 a.m. He added that Chandrayaan-2 was precisely inserted in the defined orbit.
Today, the Chandrayaan-2 mission crossed a major milestone. And the precise lunar orbit insertion maneuver carried out at 9 o'clock for about 30 minutes precisely injected the Chandrayaan-2 in a defined orbit in a perfect way. As we are aware, in order to achieve the required location for soft landing near South Pole, that is to achieve the moon orbit with an inclination of 90 degrees. This is the unique requirement only Chandrayaan has, which no other moon mission has.
After the lunar orbit insertion today, lander Vikram will soft land on the moon on the 7th of next month. ISRO chief said that precisely at 1:55 a.m. the lander will land on the moon.
On 7th early morning, 1 o'clock and 40 minutes, 1:40, the powered descent starts, and next 15 minutes at 1:55, the lander will be landing at a site 71 degrees south of equator, moon's equator, with a 22.8 degree east. After landing on the lunar surface, 2 hours later, the ramp in the lander will come down and touch the ground, and then 3 hours 10 minutes later, the solar panel of the rover will be deployed, and the 3 hours 50 minutes the lander will start move from the rover will start from the lander, and at 4 hours the lander will be touching on the moon surface. This is our plan, and I am sure that the precision with which our LOI and the TLI we have carried out, I am sure that we will be able to achieve the successful landing on moon on 7th by 1:55.
Down on the moon's surface as a mixed feeling full of happiness and anxiety.
Everybody's the eyes will be glued to the console, and only thing is that because of the advanced technologies, the telemetry parameters we will be seeing, and by continuously seeing these parameters, some parameters by itself will be showing that it is we are in the right direction. This type of feeling we will get. So at the same time, what going to be the next moment, that anxiety also will be there. So it will be a mixed feeling of that the happiness and the tension and more anxiety that will be there.
So that was the crucial press conference that was addressed by ISRO Chairman K. Sivan on the various stages that have been achieved so far and the journey ahead insofar as Chandrayaan-2 is concerned. So Chandrayaan-2 has crossed a key milestone. Chandrayaan-2 has been precisely inserted into the lunar orbit today, and that is a crucial maneuver that has been achieved. Precise lunar orbit insertion maneuver took 30 minutes starting around 9 a.m. It precisely started at 2 minutes past 9. Chandrayaan-2 has a unique record in order to achieve a precise soft landing. So far the maneuvers have been achieved with precision. Chandrayaan-2 is currently in an elliptical orbit, and that would later become a circular orbit. The orbit to be lowered to 100 by 100 kilometers circular orbit, and then to 100 by 30 kilometers orbit. And then the orbit inclination of 90 degrees is needed for precise soft landing, and this is going to be a challenge according to ISRO Chairman K. Sivan. July 22 was the date when the historic launch of Chandrayaan-2 took place, and since then we've seen that there have been several earthbound maneuvers that have been achieved, around 5 of them so far. And after that, on the 14th of August, Chandrayaan-2 injected into lunar orbit at a velocity of 10.9 kilometers per second. So that injection happened on the 14th of August. On the 19th of August, Chandrayaan-2 enters sphere of moon and comes under Earth's gravity, and its velocity slows down. Then a lunar orbit insertion maneuver, a reduced velocity of Chandrayaan-2 from 2.4 kilometers per second to what you saw. Then 4 more lunar maneuvers are to take place now going forward. The next one is going to be just tomorrow. That's what he said. He said the next lunar maneuver is around 1 p.m. tomorrow. So the next stage will take place tomorrow now. 3 more lunar maneuvers on the 28th of August, on the 30th of August and the 1st of September. So by the 1st of September, all those 4 maneuvers would be complete, and by 1st September what we'll see is that the orbit of Chandrayaan-2 will be reduced to 100 by 100 kilometers orbit. On the 2nd of September, the lander will be separated from the orbiter. So this is again going to be extremely crucial in the journey going forward of Chandrayaan-2. From the 2nd of September, all maneuvers will be done on the lander systems. So from the orbiter system, the focus shifts to the lander system. Then 3rd September, 3 seconds deorbit maneuver will be carried out. And then you'll see that on the 4th of September, a real deorbit maneuver to be carried out, and the duration of that would be 6 seconds. And after that, the next 3 days, we'll see various parameters of the lander being verified and re-verified so that no problems arise later. On the 7th of September at 1:40 a.m. Indian Standard Time, descent to moon's surface will begin, and those 15 minutes of terror as put by K7 will begin. Lander to touchdown at 75 degrees south of equator on 7th of September 1:55 a.m. So that soft landing happens then. Landing to take place between two craters. So that location has already been pre-selected close to the south pole, that in the south polar region. RAM to be deployed and will touch the lunar surface. So that's how the maneuvers will happen going forward, and then solar panels will be deployed, because remember that the lander and rover will be working on solar power cells. It will be solar powered. And 7 September 3:15 a.m. Indian Standard Time, rover to roll out from lander. So that rolling out of rover Pragyan from the lander will take place then. 7 September 4 a.m. Indian Standard Time, rover to touchdown on the lunar surface. And the criticality of landing is that the slope of landing surface should be less than 12 degrees. This was put out by K7, saying that otherwise there is a fear of it tumbling down. Region for landing has been selected accordingly so that there is no such mishap that happens. Lander to capture images of lunar surface for landing. So before landing, the lander will capture the surface of the moon and then pre-select captured images to be matched with stored images so that the predetermined location is where the landing can take place. Soft landing success rate 37% of all the lunar missions launched, and that is why soft landing is going to be a challenge, because 37% only have been successful so far. Life of the orbiter minimum 1 year. It could go more depending on the fuel. Life of rover and lander, 1 moon day, that is 14 Earth days. And basically a key milestone has been achieved so far insofar as the journey of Chandrayaan-2 is concerned, with the lunar orbit insertion taking place. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has tweeted congratulating ISRO. He tweeted that congratulations to Team ISRO on Chandrayaan-2 entering the moon's orbit. This is an important step in the landmark journey to the moon. Best wishes for its successful culmination. So congratulations pouring in from the Prime Minister's office as well. You would remember that the Prime Minister was watching closely when the launch had taken place in July. And now correspondent Aisha Khanam is joining us for more on this, and Ajay Lele, who is an expert on space science with IDSA, is also with us. I welcome you both to Midday Prime. Well, Aisha, I'll come to you. What did the ISRO chairman K. Sivan have to say on the importance of the maneuver that was achieved this morning of the lunar orbit injection that took place?
Well, Munmun, the maneuver today takes ISRO closer to the moon now, and now that Chandrayaan-2 is orbiting the moon, so it becomes a step closer towards the landing, which the ISRO is making grand preparations for September 7th. And this is the big challenge that ISRO has achieved today, and all the scientists are jubilant because this is a milestone that they have achieved, and ISRO is now heading closer and inching closer to a successful mission, as the chairman expresses confidence. And also the fact that this entire mission is being tracked and controlled and monitored from Bangalore makes it more important, because after the launch from Sriharikota, it is Bangalore which is in focus from PINIA, ISRO Tracking and Telemetry Center. The scientists are monitoring the Chandrayaan-2, and they are conducting the crucial maneuvers. They are taking the precise calculations for the perfect landing. So Bangalore now gains importance. The telemetry center, where more than 300 scientists are working day and night, along with the 2 women who are heading this project. So this is a big moment for ISRO. This is a big moment for the people of India. And when September 2, on September 2, the lander separates from the orbiter, that will be another milestone, because the lander will then move towards the moon surface, and then ISRO will have to conduct some simple maneuvers, which will be as simple as tilting the lander to a 90 degrees so that it lands perfectly and it attains a very soft landing, which is very crucial. This is the biggest moment for ISRO. The soft landing, as the chairman says, is a 15 minutes of terrifying moments in this entire mission.
Absolutely.
And he says, as the D-Day draws closer, their heartbeats have been increasing and they are working towards achieving a perfect landing on the moon on September 7th.
Absolutely. Aisha, stay with us. Mr. Lele, why was it important for ISRO to achieve the lunar orbit insertion maneuver that happened this morning with precision? And how do you look at the journey so far? Because I understand that all the maneuvers that have happened with precision, which is an unrivaled record.
I think if you really look at the entire expanse of the mission, it's an extremely complicated mission. Almost every step is important. So after the mission was launched on 22nd, subsequently the orbit raising maneuvers were done. So essentially the idea was that the satellite which was launched to a particular height around say 250 to 260 kilometers was to be taken to a height above 1 lakh kilometers, and subsequently a trans orbit was done where you were between the moon and the Mars. And today morning what we have achieved is the craft has now entered into the moon orbit. So after it is entered into a moon orbit, as it was explained, now other maneuvers will be done, and on second or first or second we will see the lander getting dropped. I think that is the first most crucial thing, because if you really look at this mission, ISRO has a experience at the back of Chandrayaan-1 mission. All the activities which have been carried till date were also carried out successfully for Chandrayaan-1. So what I will say is that what is going to happen from the 1st or 2nd of September is going to be the extremely crucial, because that is what ISRO has never done before. And if you see the statistics, it's less than 40% success rate is there. We all know that recently even a technologically stronger country like Israel also had a failure.
True.
So one has to keep fingers crossed, but the way the entire mission has progressed so far, I think it's extremely encouraging, and it's almost a flawless mission which has happened till date.
Absolutely. Aisha, 7th of September is going to be the D-Day after the launch date. Everyone is waiting, in fact, for that night that will see the landing of of course, Chandrayaan-2 on the lunar surface. Now, the question that arises is that what are the preparations that ISRO is making for this soft landing, which has never been achieved by any other country so far in the South Polar region, because the ISRO chairman said that an invitation has been sent out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well to attend this from the ISRO headquarters.
Well, ISRO is making all its preparations, all the calculations are in place, because it is the South Pole that ISRO is targeting, and this is a specific region where the Vikram has to land, and that too it has to land with a soft landing, else there will be problems with regard to the lunar dust which will cover this entire mission, and then some of the crucial data could be lost, and Vikram may not be able to collect the data. So they have to make sure that this soft landing is perfect, and that is the biggest moment for ISRO. And then once Vikram lands, once the lander is on the moon surface, then its antennas will be deployed. Then after about 3 to 4 hours, then this rover comes out. This is a rover which is a model that ISRO has made, and this rover comes out after 3 hours or so, and then this will walk around the moon surface on the South Pole, and this will also take about 1 lunar day, where on Earth it is 14 days. So this rover will have a crucial role to play, and it will walk around the surface of the moon. So this is the biggest moment for India and for ISRO, because this rover, on the wheels of this rover, there is a Ashok Chakra emblem. So imagine when it goes across the moon surface, it leaves the imprints of the Ashok Chakra, it leaves the footprints of ISRO on the moon surface. So ISRO is prepared, and ISRO is now jubilant, and they are looking forward to this big day. And for them, September 2nd to September 7th will be the big day and most challenging day, where the scientists hope and belief that they will achieve the set target. And also, as ISRO has been saying, that we are going where no one has gone before. That is the South Pole, because as ISRO chairman has been explaining, and he has been talking about the fact that South Pole has been the most unexplored region, and that is why ISRO chose this region, because there can be more data on this. And also ISRO feels that this is a region which could possibly be a suitable region for colonizing the moon. And if the study of the minerals, the data collected on this surface is analyzed, then ISRO could further come out with new and interesting data from the South Pole. So this is the region that ISRO is looking at, and they are looking forward to a perfect soft landing across the South Pole region. Munmun?
Mr. Lele, how will Chandrayaan-2 be a quantum leap from what we've achieved in Chandrayaan-1? Because Chandrayaan-1 did find presence of water on the moon, and are we now looking at opening of vistas of possibilities? Like Aisha said, colonization of the moon going ahead, perhaps interplanetary missions, and a lot more.
I think as far as colonization of moon is concerned, these are too early days, but one has to make a start somewhere, and what ISRO has done with Chandrayaan-1 is doing that start. If you compare Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2, the subtle difference is that Chandrayaan-1 only had an orbiter. That means there was a satellite which was revolving around the moon at a height of 100 kilometers to 200 kilometers and picking up lot amount of a data and in form of a pictures essentially. But on Chandrayaan-2, what we are going to do is that we are going to do a soft landing. That means a robotic equipment will be landed onto the surface of the moon and actual data will be collected. So till date, whatever data which we were having was a data done by what we call as a remote sensing. That means satellite is picking up a data based on the pictures information. So more correct data will be there, and earlier we have already identified the presence of a water onto the surface of the moon, but one has to really validate it further and identify the areas where there could be maximum possibility of having a water. Particularly the South Pole has been chosen because of this reason only, because this is a place which is in a shadow zone, and that is the reason water in some form. Definitely there is no water which is available into a liquid form, but it is available in a frozen ice form, and that is what ISRO is trying to look at. Because tomorrow, when I am saying tomorrow, I am saying that few decades after, when actual idea of colonizing moon will become a reality, at that point in time the essential requirement for humans to survive over there will be water, and it is just not possible or economical to carry water from the surface of the earth to the surface of the moon. Hence, first finding water over there and trying to make it a drinkable water in years time is going to be extremely crucial. So, I think what they are going to achieve now is are the early steps, but until and unless you do not achieve these steps, you can't do a further research. So, these are extremely important steps as the first steps towards finally colonizing the moon, which may become a reality in coming few decades.
Absolutely. Aisha, you told us that the Ashok Chakra will be imprinted because of the wheels of the rover on the lunar surface. Will the tricolor be carried too?
Well, there will be painting of the tricolor perhaps on the rover, because last Chandrayaan-1 there was a tricolor that was dropped on the moon, but today this mission it will be the Ashok Chakra, which is going to create imprints of India on the surface of the moon, and that is what the chairman has told us, that this will be the biggest moment when it leaves the imprints on the surface of the moon. And definitely the rover will also have a painted emblem of the national flag on it, and that will also make its presence on the surface of the moon, which will make every Indian proud, and which is certainly fulfilling the dreams of billions of Indians, as ISRO has named it as the journey of a billion dreams, which is not just the 300 scientists who are working, but it is the entire nation who is with the ISRO, who are standing with the scientists who are working day and night for a successful launch on September 7th.
Oh, absolutely. And preparation for this had began well over a decade ago when Chandrayaan-2, in fact, Chandrayaan-1 was launched. Mr. Lele, why is K. Sivan, the chairman of ISRO, repeatedly talking about the 15 minutes of terror? That is the time the descent begins from the orbiter to the lunar surface.
You see, what happens is that you must try to imagine that everything which is out there is spinning. You got a Earth, you got a moon, now you got a craft. Now, from that orbiter on first or second, the lander will be released, and that lander will do certain amount of maneuvers. Idea is to reduce the velocity of that, and as you start reducing the velocity, you have to identify a exact landing ground. As it was already been told that between two craters, roughly the landing ground has been already identified, but the final result will only come up after orbiter starts taking pictures of that area and exactly identify a region where the soft landing will be carried out. So, the distance to cover will take almost 15 minutes after the lander will start its mission towards landing over to the surface of the moon. So, those 15 minutes are going to be extremely crucial, because you have to reduce the velocity considerably, and at last point in time you will have to reduce the velocity to 0. And that is going to be extremely critical, because at that point in time, as I was already mentioned, everything is going to be spinning, because your entire system, the Earth, Moon and the orbiter, all those systems are in a spin. So, to bring a velocity and to bring a velocity to that minimum level with accurate precision is going to be challenging, and that precision will come to know only between those 15 minutes. That is why he is calling that 15 minute as a part of a terror. And other aspect is that the system is going to be fully autonomous at some point in time. So, there will be no control, the system will decide on its own. So, one has to really only keep on watching that how the system is behaving. So, both technologically as well as from a human point of view, it is going to be terrorizing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Lele, and thank you, Aisha, for having joined us with those updates and perspective. Let's move on now to some more news stories. Heavy rains continue to wreak havoc across several states of North India. 35 people have died in rain-related incidents in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The surging waters of Yamuna and its tributaries now pose a threat to many parts of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab and the national capital, Delhi. The death toll in Himachal Pradesh rose to 25 on Monday, with 3 more people losing their lives due to the rains. The weather office has predicted that rains will continue over the next 24 hours. Chamba, Kullu, Shimla, Sirmaur and Solan districts are the worst affected. All educational institutions in Chamba district were closed today, as heavy to extremely heavy rainfall remained unabated in the region. More than 800 roads are closed and hundreds of vehicles are stranded in the tribal area of Lahaul Spiti due to unexpected snowfall triggered landslides. Heavy rains also battered the other Himalayan state of Uttarakhand. The scale of devastation caused by heavy rains in Uttarkashi district unfolded on Monday, with the recovery of more bodies from different villages, taking the death toll to 10, while 6 people were still missing. ITBP continues to undertake search mission in Tekochi, in Arakot, Uttarkashi on the banks of river Tons. After the cloud burst in the area a couple of days ago, ITBP teams started search operations for the missing people in the area. 10 vehicles were reportedly stationed when the cloud burst occurred in the early morning. Several rivers, including the Ganga, Yamuna and Ghagra, were in spate in Uttar Pradesh due to heavy rains in neighbouring states, leading to floods in low-lying areas. The situation in parts of Punjab and Haryana remained grim, prompting the Punjab government to declare the current flood situation in the affected villages of the state a natural calamity. Chief Minister Amrinder Singh also announced 100 crore rupees emergency relief and rehabilitation measures in affected regions. In Haryana, braving bad weather and low visibility in the wee hours of Monday, the Indian Air Force airlifted to safety 9 members of a family, including 6 children, stranded in an inundated field near a swollen Yamuna river in Karnal. Heavy rains over the past few days have resulted in flooding in some parts of the state. In national capital Delhi, more than 10,000 people living in low-lying areas along the Yamuna in Delhi have been evacuated by government agencies as the river breached the danger mark on Monday evening. People living in the floodplains of the river have been moved to the over 2,000 tents set up at safer places. The old iron bridge over the Yamuna was closed down for road and rail traffic by the authorities as the water level crossed the danger mark of 205.33 meters. The Yamuna flows through the 6 districts of Delhi, whose low-lying areas are prone to flooding. The administration has deployed 30 boats to prevent accidental drowning. In Jammu and Kashmir, the situation continues to remain calm and peaceful across the state, with no major law and order incident being reported. Restrictions are being phased out gradually in the state. Jammu and Kashmir government has said that all the middle schools of the valley will be reopened from Wednesday. The administration has made every arrangement to see that supply chains are well maintained. The government has urged people not to believe in any kind of rumour mongering by vested interests. The J&K police has meanwhile warned that those spreading rumours will be strictly dealt with. Our correspondent Abhishek Singh is now joining us from Srinagar for more on this. Abhishek, does the focus now shift to the opening of middle schools starting Wednesday?
बिल्कुल मुनमुन, देखिए कल से जो है अगर हम श्रीनगर की बात करें, पूरे कश्मीर की बात करें, तो तकरीबन छोटे बड़े स्कूल को मिलाकर यहाँ पे 11,000 स्कूल है, जिनमें से 2,000 से ज़्यादा प्राइमरी स्कूल जो है उनको कल से शुरू किया गया। और जो उपस्थिति भी रही, चाहे वो स्टाफ की हो या स्टूडेंट्स की हो, वो अच्छी खासी दर्ज की गई। आज दूसरा दिन है घाटी में बंद के बाद स्कूल खुले हुए, और आज जो है कल से भी ज़्यादा उपस्थिति दर्ज की गई है, चाहे वो स्टाफ की हो या फिर स्टूडेंट्स की। और जो पेरेंट्स है उनके अंदर, बच्चों के अंदर काफ़ी उत्साह देखा जा रहा है। पेरेंट्स का ये कहना है कि चूंकि बच्चों का एजुकेशन जो है उसमें कोई हानि ना हो, वो कंटिन्यूअस चलता रहे। इसको लेके ये सरकार का बहुत अच्छा डिसीजन है कि स्कूल खोले गए, और इसी की सफलता को देखते हुए कल से यानी बुधवार से जो है घाटी में मिडिल स्कूल को भी खोला जा रहा है। प्रशासन द्वारा दिशा निर्देश दिया जा रहा है कि किन इलाकों में स्थिति की समीक्षा करते हुए कि किन किन इलाकों में किन किन स्कूल को खोला जाएगा। लेकिन ये एक बहुत बड़ी सामान्य होती स्थिति का परिचायक है कि घाटी में जो है किस तरीके से स्थिति सामान्य होती जा रही है। जो अगर हम आवागमन की भी बात करें तो सड़कों पे आवागमन जो है वो धीरे धीरे करके बहुत ही सामान्य होता जा रहा है। बाजारों में रौनक लौट रही है। एसेंशियल सामानों के अलावा, चाहे वो गारमेंट्स का हो, डिपार्टमेंटल स्टोर हो या फिर कॉस्मेटिक का हो, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की दुकानें, वो
ऑल्सो
बिल्कुल मुनमुन, देखिए अभी जो है घाटी में 5 अगस्त के बाद से ही जो ये संचार व्यवस्था है उसे अस्थायी तौर पे रोका गया। लेकिन बावजूद मैं आपको बताऊं, जो प्रशासन को मोबाइल दिया गया जो आपातकालीन स्थिति में बात कराने के लिए, प्रशासन ने अपने ओर से हर थाना क्षेत्र के अंदर, हर डीसी ऑफिस के अंदर, हर एसपी ऑफिस के अंदर ये व्यवस्था की कि जिन लोगों को आपातकाल में बात करना हो, अपने दूर दराज के रिश्तेदारों से बात करना हो, सगे संबंधियों से बात करना हो, उनके लिए उन्होंने मोबाइल पे एक छोटा पीसीओ अपने ऑफिस में ऑर्गेनाइज किया, और लोग बड़ी संख्या में आकर वहां से लोग बात करते थे। कई थाना क्षेत्र ऐसे हैं जहां पे 1000 से 1500 लोग प्रतिदिन आकर के उस मोबाइल सेवा का लाभ उठाते थे। जहां तक मोबाइल सेवा की बात करें, इंटरनेट सेवा की बात करें, तो अभी घाटी में जिस तरीके से प्रशासन इसकी समीक्षा करेगा, स्थिति की समीक्षा करेगा, क्योंकि जो दुष्प्रचार और अफवाह है वो जो है सोशल नेटवर्क के जरिए ज्यादा फैलाया जाता है, और प्रशासन की पूरी निगरानी है इसके ऊपर कि किसी भी तरीके से इस तरह की अफवाह या दुष्प्रचार घाटी के अंदर ना फैले। ऐसे में अब आने वाले समय में प्रशासन को यह देखना है कि स्थिति को देखते हुए, जिस तरीके से स्थिति हालांकि सामान्य होता जा रहा है, उसको देखते हुए प्रशासन का निर्णय होगा कि कब से इसे शुरू किया जाए। मुनमुन।
Right, Abhishek. Thank you for those updates from Srinagar. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held talks with his Bangladeshi counterpart Dr. A.K. Abdul Menin in Dhaka. He arrived in Dhaka last night on a 3-day visit to Bangladesh. Today he started his engagements by paying respects to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in the Dhanmondi area of Dhaka. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that in India's neighbourhood first policy, Bangladesh presents the model relationship. He said our partnership has transcended strategic partnership and it had attained a new level. He said the purpose of this visit is to affirm the strong relationship between the two countries and also to prepare for the forthcoming visit of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to India. And our correspondent Rajesh is joining us with more details on this. Rajesh, what can you tell us about the key issues that were discussed between External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his Bangladeshi counterpart today?
External Affairs Minister Jaishankar discussed a number of important issues here in Bangladesh. The more important issues were infrastructure and connectivity and people to people ties. On the issue of the water sharing, the External Affairs Minister said that India and Bangladesh will look forward to a mutually acceptable formula on water sharing of common rivers between the two countries. The External Affairs Minister also said that India looks forward to the celebration of the centenary year of Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman and 50 years of the liberation of Bangladesh, in which India will also contribute. These were the things, apart from other things, of mutual interest that were discussed in the visit of the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar to Dhaka.
Rajesh, what are going to be the next engagements of the External Affairs Minister there in Bangladesh?
In a short while from now, around 4 o'clock India time, Mr. Jaishankar will be calling on the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, and that would be the end of the official engagement here. Later tomorrow in the morning, he would be leaving for Kathmandu to attend another meeting in Nepal.
How significant is this visit going to be in the context of India's neighbourhood first policy? We saw how the External Affairs Minister had visited Bhutan, which was his first visit after he assumed office, and now he's decided to go to Bangladesh.
It is an extremely important relationship, as the External Affairs Minister himself said, that India-Bangladesh relationship is a model of neighbourly relationship, and it has gone much beyond the strategic relationship that India has with many countries. It has also, India and Bangladesh have also agreed to cooperate in the field of controlling extremism and terrorism on their borders, apart from other activities regarding trade promotion, investment in infrastructure sector, and so on. The relationship between India and Bangladesh is important from the point of view of development of both the countries and for the entire South Asian region.
Right, Rajesh. Thank you for those updates from Dhaka. Moving on now, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu met the Prime Minister of Latvia, Krišjānis Kariņš, and held delegation-level talks at Riga in Latvia. Earlier this morning, Vice President went to the Freedom Monument in Riga and paid floral tributes there. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today attended a seminar on modernization and indigenization plans of the Indian Air Force in New Delhi. Addressing the seminar, the Union Minister said the Indian Air Force is a technologically advanced and extremely potent force. He added that the Indian Air Force, besides the Army and the Navy, needs to keep pace with the advancement in technological developments and enhancing operational capabilities.
Indian Air Force, besides the Army and the Navy, needs to keep pace with the advancement in technology for enhancing operational capabilities. Recently, while addressing the 20th anniversary commemorative event to mark Kargil Vijay Divas, our Honorable Prime Minister has emphasized the need for modernization of our armed forces.
The Union Minister also reiterated Prime Minister's emphasis on the efforts to increase participation of the private sector in Make in India defence sector.
Efforts are being made to increase the participation of the private sector for Make in India in the defence sector. However, it is a fact that India continues to be one of the largest importers of the defense equipment that is produced within the country. There is a sizable dependency on foreign original equipment manufacturers for their systems and components.
Air Chief Marshal B.S. Dhanoa, while addressing the audience at a seminar organized by the Indian Air Force, said that the Air Force can't wait for indigenous technology to replace obsolete warfighting equipment. The Air Marshal expressed his concerns on seminar titled INDECIM 2019 Modernization and Indigenization PNAS of Indian Air Force.
If there is no war, we cannot wait for indigenous technology to replace obsolete war-fighting equipment. Neither will it be prudent to import every defense equipment from abroad. So what are we doing? We are replacing our high-end obsolete weapons with indigenously developed ones. This will boost our in-house defense manufacturing.
Businessman Ratul Puri, nephew of Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Kamal Nath, has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with a 354 crore rupees bank loan fraud case. Puri was placed under arrest under the provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act late on Monday night. He will be produced before a court in New Delhi today. The businessman was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with a bank loan fraud case. A criminal case was filed in this instance by the CBI on the 18th of August, and multiple raids were conducted against Puri, his father and Mozabia firm promoter Deepak Puri, mother Neeta Puri and others. He is already under probes and under the scanner of the agency in the Augusta Westland VVIP choppers case. 17 BJP leaders, including a former chief minister and an ex-MLA, took oath as cabinet ministers of Karnataka at a simple ceremony in Raj Bhavan in Bengaluru in the presence of Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. The BJP leadership has attempted to balance caste and regional equations through the expansion that has come about after a delay of 3 weeks. The lion's share of the cabinet positions have gone to Lingayats, also the largest community in Karnataka. There are 37 Lingayat MLAs out of 105 member BJP MLAs. The new ministers are V. Somanna, R. Ashok, C.N. Ashwath Narayana, S. Suresh Kumar, C.T. Ravi, K.S. Ishwarappa, Jagdish Shettar, Prabhu Chauhan, Shashikala Jole, Govind Karjol, B. Sriramulu, Kota Srinivas Pujari, H. Nagesh, J.C. Madhuswamy, Basavaraj Bomai, Lakshman Savadi and C.C. Patil. And in Midday Prime, it's time now for all the news and updates from the world of business. And for all the business-related developments, it's over to my colleague Nancy Kohli now.
Thanks, Munmun. Yes, all the business news this afternoon. While first up from the stock markets, while the shares are reported to be volatile today after gains in the IT stocks were largely offset by the declines in the financial stocks, and Sensex was 128.8 points at 37,273, while the Nifty was 50 points down at 11,003. Meanwhile, the broader Asian shares also climbed higher, reflecting gains seen in the US stocks on Monday as hopes of more stimulus measures from China and Germany eased jitters of an impending global recession. And an update now as to how really the Indian rupee is doing. Well, it's trading lower by 16 paise at 71.5 per dollar against the previous close of 71.43. The Indian rupee tumbled 29 paise to close at an over 6-month low of 71.43 against the US dollar. That was yesterday amid growing worries over economic slump and sustained foreign fund outflows. Now further, the rising crude oil prices and strengthening of the US dollar vis-a-vis other currencies overseas also took a toll on the Indian currency. And gold prices continue to weaken from recent highs following a similar global trend on the MCX. October gold prices were down 0.3% to around 37,700 rupees per 10 grams. That's down about 1,000 rupees from the recent highs of 38,666. The silver also followed a similar trend, and in fact the silver contracts on the MCX were down 0.32% to 43,290 rupees per kilogram. That's also down sharply from the recent highs around 44,500. In the global markets, the hopes of stimulus in major economies have tempered the anxiety about a global recession, boosting riskier assets and softening gold prices. And that's all the business news this afternoon. It's back to you, Munmun, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Nancy, for that roundup. And now look at what's making news across the globe. In international news, an out-of-control wildfire on Gran Canaria in Spain's Canary Islands kept spreading on Monday as well. The blaze, the third in 10 days in the mountainous center of the island, has forced the evacuation of several villages with a combined population of over 9,000. Provided the conditions of the island, such as high temperatures, strong winds and low humidity, is fueling the wildfire. Altogether, 1,000 firefighters and other crew and 14 water-dropping helicopters and planes were working on controlling the blaze, which is estimated to have destroyed 10,000 hectares of forests so far. Another wildfire broke out in the Spanish town of Estepona on Monday, with 170 firefighters called to the site to tackle the flames. Numerous helicopters were also deployed to the site to deal with the fire, which is not the first such occurrence in Estepona. This year has been particularly notorious for wildfires in Spain. Airstrikes conducted by the Syrian government targeted a Turkish military convoy, killing 3 civilians and wounding nearly 12 people in northwest Syria. The airstrikes hit the convoy when it was approaching towards Idlib, a province in Syria considered the most rebellious district. Turkey has its forces stationed in Idlib under deals with Russia and backs some of the rebel factions in the region. Seen to be moving forward on the Brexit negotiations, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson wrote to European Council President Donald Tusk to propose conditions on negotiating a new Brexit deal. The new deal proposed seeks removal of the Irish backstop and to find a flexible and creative border agreement to solve the potential problems regarding the Northern Ireland border. The critics believe that this arrangement could trap Northern Ireland inside the EU and cause the split of Britain. The British Prime Minister vowed to bring Britain out of the EU by the 31st of October this year. Coming as a relief for the Chinese multinational tech company Huawei, the US Department of Commerce announced that it will extend a temporary license loosening restrictions on business deals for another 90 days. The extended temporary general license allows a specific limited engagement in transactions to Huawei and its non-US affiliates. The temporary easing came amid concerns that Huawei's customers in the US will suffer without access to its services. A Guatemalan court acquitted the son and brother of outgoing President Jimmy Morales in a corruption case. Samuel Morales, the president's older brother, and his political advisor had been on trial on suspicion of fraud and money laundering, while Jose Manuel Morales, the president's eldest son, was facing fraud charges. In January 2017, the Attorney General's office accused both men of defrauding the land registry of $12,000 using false invoices for the fraud conducted in 2013. And time now for all the sports action. And Tapas joins us now with all the sports updates. Tapas, what's making headlines in the world of sports?
We'll start with the badminton. Indian shuttlers had a good day in office at the BWF World Badminton Championship, with men's singles player K. Srikanth, B. Sai Praneeth and H.S. Pranoy advancing to the second round in Basel. Two of those players will be in action on day 2 also. Pranoy's second round battle with 5-time champion Lin Dan is the match to watch out for as far as Indian contingent is concerned. Sai Praneeth takes on Korea's Lee Dong-kwon. PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal have received bye in their opening round and will start their campaign on Wednesday. From badminton to tennis, India's #1 women's tennis player Ankita Raina got off to a solid start on US Open debut, knocking out 9th seed in 3 sets in the first qualifying round in New York. Haryana, world number 194, claimed fighting 6-1, 1-6, 6-2 win over Yasilina Bonaventure of Belgium in a topsy-turvy match to reach the second round of the qualifiers on Monday night. The match saw 8 breaks of serve, with Haryana winning 5 of 6 breaks while giving up serves 3 times and saving 5 break points on her way. In the English Premier League, Manchester United were forced to settle for a 1-1 draw against Wolverhampton after Paul Pogba's penalty was saved by Rui Patricio on Monday. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side took the lead through Antonio Martial's second Premier League goal of the season in the first half. Ruben Neves hit a brilliant equaliser for Wolverhampton after the interval before France star Pogba was denied by goalkeeper Patricio. United would have gone top of the table with the win, but instead they were left to reflect on an inconsistent performance that underlined why Solskjaer still has a lot of work to do to turn his team into title contenders. Bayern Munich have signed attacking midfielder Philippe Coutinho from Barcelona on a season-long loan deal, which includes the option to buy. Barcelona said that the German side will pay 8.5 million euros to take the Brazilian on loan, while the option to buy stands at 120 million euros. Bayern will also pay Coutinho's wages for the duration of the loan spell. Despite scoring 21 goals in 76 appearances for the Spanish Giants, he has fallen short of expectation and had been linked with several clubs. Tottenham ended their interest in a loan deal for Coutinho earlier this month, while he was also linked with moves to Arsenal and back to Liverpool. Well, that's all from Sports Prime. Munmun, back to you for more news and updates.
Thanks, Tapas, for that. And before we end the show, we pay a special tribute to legendary music composer Khayyam. We leave you with these melodious music composed by him.
मेरे दिल में ख्याल